Yeah. So my background, I say I'm a farm kid from Indiana that wanted to travel the world, help people make money. Fast forward 10 years and I figured it out. Went to school for finance, worked at the Chicago Board of Trade, ended up working for one of the best companies in the world of valuation consulting. I thought that was going to be it. I had the proverbial dream job, six figures, the compensation plan, all the bells and whistles. And about 6 months in, I worked 10 years to get there. And about 6 months in, I hated it and I quit. And so I started in the world of entrepreneurism, bought my first business, flipped that, created a real estate investing community that I grew to over 1,000 people. And then COVID came and started traveling. It was a blessing in disguise because I always wanted to travel, but I was sort of pinned down in Phoenix, Arizona because I had a huge community there. So we moved it online and I've lived in 24 countries over the last 6 years. Wow. And settled down here in Medellin. And what we do today is scale businesses. And so with a primary focus on finance. And so we come in, understand, I call it the math and the message. And we understand the math of the finances and the message, be it, what are they selling? What's the vision, the leadership conversation, and making sure that the math and the message align and, create strategic plans. And I do all the stuff most people hate, creating the business plans, creating the financial projections and all that.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So we're in Medellin right now. We're recording this in Medellin, but you've been to 24 countries. So tell me a little bit about the travels that you've had, and then also how long have you been in Medellin and why Medellin?
Yeah. So we started off in Hawaii because it was the only place open during COVID. Okay. And then we went there for 4 months. And then the only other place that was open was Colombia. And so we came here about 5 years ago, right as COVID was starting. And we were here during a lot of that. And so lived here for 4 months. And then I had this itch ever since I was a kid to travel the world. Where I came from in Indiana, they told me the world was dangerous. They told me, be careful, all of these things. Yeah. You get programmed. Yeah. And I came here. And so I had this preconceived notion of what Colombia was going to be like. And I was like, this isn't it. Like, this place is beautiful. There's beautiful people, beautiful countryside, just beautiful cost of living. Everything was beautiful about it. And so we just kept going and going. And every 2 to 4 months, we went to a new country. And we traveled around South America, Central America, Caribbean, Bali, Thailand, Europe, Africa. Wow. And what happened was we were over in Bali. It was a place I always wanted to go since I was a kid, Thailand and Bali. So we lived there about 6 months, but I was just getting wrecked from the time change. And so our team is out of the United States. And so I was going to bed when they were waking up and when they were going to bed. So an email would take, a day to turn around. And initially it was great because I was coming off leaving a big business I was in. And so I had a lot of stress and anxiety, and I would just literally needed to de-stress. But then I got the itch, to go create again. And so I was getting frustrated. And my wife said, well, let's go back to Colombia. We love it. And so I've been here about 18 months. Okay. And I don't really do anything other than hang out with you at the Entrepreneur House, right? I mean, literally. Yeah. Ride motorcycles, play with my dog, hang out with my wife. And I've learned, I got that out of my system. It was something I always wanted to do. And today I'm just really focused on slowing things down. And I live a very peaceful life. We only take calls on Tuesdays. And the rest of the days, I just get to do the high-end critical thinking, planning, visionary stuff, which I've always wanted to do.
So amazing. Yeah, that's so amazing. Like, most entrepreneurs just packed calendars. Right. I remember you told me not too long ago, you're like, this is the first time that I literally have no meetings. I have my calendar is like white. Right. Like, there's nothing that I have to do. Like, you've built the companies that you have to a point where, you have the leadership, you have the systems in place where you are removed from the business, basically.
Yeah, I have 4 to 5 hours of mandatory meetings a week. And that's just catching up on my team that do run the businesses. And so it was, it took me 20 years to figure that out, but it was, and, there was a point where I had a pack. I was just creating a training, and I looked at my calendar like 2 years ago. It was packed solid Monday through Friday, like from when I woke up to 8 o'clock at night. I had calls on Saturday and I had calls on Sunday. Wow. And that was just, that's what I knew. I knew how to produce, and I didn't know how to remove myself and inspire the team to produce. And so fast forward, we figured it out.
Amazing. Well, congratulations. That's such an accomplishment. Most entrepreneurs get into entrepreneurship to get to that point, but they first obviously go through the opposite of that, where
you got to go through the burn.
Yeah, it's the burn. Exactly. They go through the burn, and some of them really, I guess, never figured out. So
what was for me, I had 2 panic attacks in a matter of a month. I was just laying on the floor. I had a team of a community of 1,000 people, real estate investors. So there's money, there's risk, there's ignorance, there's arrogance, there's, that whole world that we operate in. And so I was always putting out fires, and I was just stressed out all the time. And I remember just falling over on the floor going, stressed out, panic attack, lay there for 3 or 4 hours, just like crying because I didn't know what to do. And, it happened twice in a month. And I said, that's right before we went to Bali. And I said, I gotta change something. I got 3 choices: figure it out, die trying, or quit. And so I figured it out.
What does it take? Like, what did you learn in those 20 years to get to where you are today? Like, what are people who aren't at where you're at and want to be, what are they doing wrong?
I would say budget and a plan. It's like so undervalued. And so I talk to people, and they're in reactionary mode. And so when you first start a business out, it's all sales and marketing. Like, go produce, go book the calendar, go do those things. But as you scale a business, now someone has to fulfill on it. And so it was always bouncing between selling and fulfilling, selling and fulfilling. And so as you get going, you know the proverbial systems and processes and all of that we hear. But the challenge for me, I've spent over $1 million learning this stuff between coaches, programs, trial and error. I just wanted the dream of business, and I was stuck in self-employed. And so everyone was selling me a brick to a piece to the puzzle. You need this system or this software, or this, or you need that. But no one laid out the whole puzzle of what a business is. And so I've figured it out myself over the years. And, it's different for everyone, but the framework is the same. I have a really strong background in finance. And so I created this business model. It's called FAWSOME: finance, operations, sales, and marketing, the 4 components of a business. Whether you're in the Amazon selling mangoes or you're on Wall Street, those are the 4 components. And what I've learned is most people either love sales and marketing, hate operations, or they love operations and hate sales and marketing, and everyone hates finance. Right? And so I see marketing as you sharing with the world the problem you solve, sales as why you solve it the best, operations as delivering the solution to the problem, and then finance is measuring everything. And so what I see in businesses, and I experience myself, is you have to build this machine that can deliver on the promise and still have money left afterwards. And I'm not very good at that from a technical standpoint, because I went from the nerdy finance guy to the guy on the front of the stage, and that's where I'm best utilized. And so what I did is I created the vision, created the plan, put numbers to it, and then I brought in an operator that is just nuts and bolts, ClickUp, everything's in ClickUp, everything's tracked, everything's go high level, Slack, all the proverbial systems that make my vision run. And then I surrendered myself to her, because I get excited about things, and we'll go over here and we'll go over here. And that's a lot of entrepreneurs do. And that's what we're great at, but it doesn't work to scale, because when you have a whole team, they need to know where we're going. They need to know how we're getting there, and they need to have the confidence of there's a certainty level, right? And in what we do, there's a lot of uncertainty. So if we're always changing and bobbing and weaving, it doesn't keep the team happy. And so I've just learned we point the direction, and we pivot when we need to pivot, but I let her run me, and that's really worked.
So finding the right team, budget and a plan, and then handing that budget and a plan over to someone that can implement it. Then I can go be the visionary spokesperson / salesperson, because no one's going to sell the vision better than me. Right. Yeah. No, that's amazing. So you said you guys like Colombia a lot. Why? You've been to 24, you said 24 countries?
24 plus, yeah.
24 plus countries. Why like Colombia, and why specifically Medellin out of all the different places you've been to?
So I say it hits all the buckets, right? First off, we're on the same time zone as America, right? Which is a huge one for me, why we came over here. Super affordable cost of living. The weather's fantastic. There's adventure galore. I love hanging out with tribes, motorcycle riding, hiking, all of those type of things. So, we have the beaches, we have snow-capped mountains, we have desert landscape, we have Amazon, like the whole plethora of adventure. And it's, Medellin specifically, it has, look at this, right? We're here. It has fast internet, reliable power, great food. The infrastructure is fantastic. And it's still, it's still a little loose, right?
Wild West.
Right. It's like you can sort of do whatever you want as long as you're not infringing on other people's rights. And, I'm not like a criminal or anything, but it's like, if I want to ride my motorcycle fast, I'm like, go take it out to the countryside and I get to ride it fast. And so it's like, it's not burdened with all these laws and regulations that a lot of countries are. So I still like that little looseness.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely true. Colombia is, a little bit more loose as you put it, I guess. Which, as long as you're doing the right things and, you're staying out of trouble, you're using common sense. Because that's another thing that people always have the perception of, like you said, what you thought Colombia was, and then you got here, like, this totally isn't what I thought Colombia was.
I remember we came through the tunnel. It was a Sunday. We came through we were going to stay in Medellin for 4 days. Because we were scared about all the stuff that we heard, all the documentaries. We came through the tunnel. It was a Sunday, and we come down, and all the roads are closed. People are running and biking. I forget the name of what Ciclovia.
Yep.
And the city's just green and beautiful. I was like, I look at my wife, and we're going to stay. And so before we even got to our hotel, we extended the stay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was just
such a common theme that happens with people when they're coming down to Medellin. So you've been living here full time for 18 months. We got connected. I don't know how long. I guess it was
about a year ago.
Almost a year. Yeah, it's almost been a year. So tell me a bit about that. Like, we got connected, and then your experience being part of the Entrepreneur House. You've been part of it for almost a year. You've met a ton of people. Like, what kind of people have you met? And just, what has your experience been like?
I remember when I called you and had the interview, you're like, why are you joining? I was like, I want friends. Yeah. Like, straight up. And so I lived online. And as we travel through all these countries every 2 to 4 months, I'm not a very social person. I like sort of working and doing my thing, but I had like this desire to go create friendships and because I wanted to get out of the business and focus more on my personal life. And so we joined. I remember the first night, that's when I met Armin, my dear friend now. It was a group of great individuals, high caliber, high functioning, high integrity. And one of the biggest challenges is as you travel, you meet a lot of people, right? Some people are traveling because they don't want to be known, right? Because they're running from something. And so to be able to have a curated group of great individuals already lined up, you do all the heavy work. It's been fantastic. And so I would say my entire social calendar is almost all Entrepreneur House stuff. And I love it that way because it's you do all the heavy lifting, put great people in the room, and then we all know what to do.
Yeah. No, it's been amazing having you part of the group too, because you provided your intent, and this is also very common. Most people join for just friends. They want to connect, they want to meet people, and then that happens obviously. But in addition to that, people do business, and people, grow their business and do deals and get clients and get ideas and inspiration and all of that. So there is the business side to it, which is kind of like, for this group, is what I've at least heard feedback wise. It's like, this is the bonus. This is the,
it's like, when you have a group of that type of people, business is going to happen.
Yeah.
But I've also learned, I've done business with people, it's like when you're coming up, you're like, oh, I don't really like this person, but they're paying me a lot of money. And I remember when I fired like my biggest client, I was like, I don't have to do that anymore. And it was, for me, it was a huge next level. It's like, I don't need anyone's money. I get to work with who I choose. And so as I'm hanging out with all the people in the Entrepreneur House, they're all great caliber people. And typically what happens is we create friendships. We have dinners. We, go to the sauna and the ice bath, or, the event out at Guadalupe or whatever we're doing. And you just get to know each other. And it's like, I got this problem. Well, good. I got this solution. And it's just a natural progression of the relationship.
Yeah. No, it's true. And it's
as opposed to everyone going in and pitching each other.
That's a big no-no in our group.
Right.
Obviously we don't want people coming in just, obviously we all have businesses, so, we all provide solutions, but it's not in a way where it's like you come in and you try to sell people. It's never been, and if someone does try to join, we have filters in place to make sure that those people don't end up in the group, because that's, it's curated. We want to make it a safe place.
It's a safe place for us to relax as business leaders. Because, it's like we deal with a lot of stress. We deal with a lot, we're dealing with life as well at a different level. And I remember one of my mentors telling me about, these groups that he was a part of. And he goes, it's great to be around them because they understand the problems you're dealing with as a business leader. Right. And when you're taking that type of responsibility on, it's hard for someone outside of it to understand the stressors and the challenges that you're going through. And so everyone's dealing with the same stuff here. And so it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you say to someone who's like watching this and maybe they're moving to Medellin, they're an entrepreneur, or maybe they're already here and they're on the outside kind of watching, seeing this video, seeing the group, and they're thinking about joining? What would you say to someone like that?
Show up. I started a community in Phoenix, Arizona, and I remember when there was like nobody. And I told you this, I was like, well, I see this as my community. I'm going to show up and I'm going to commit to it and everything. And so, showing up is what creates community. And I've never had a community like this before. It takes something special to move to Colombia, right? To be this quote unquote digital nomad. Everyone has this vision of talking about it, but to actually do it takes a special caliber of breed. And then, once you're here, it's like you're sort of lost. Like I sort of felt like that, unplugged, disconnected. And so I plugged into the Entrepreneur House, and it's like just plug in and fill yourself full of great people, great adventure, like-minded individuals, and be part of the community.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. So where can people find you if they want to connect with you? Obviously members inside the group. Well, let me ask this first before we close out. For the members inside the group that are watching this, want to connect with you, how can you help them? Like, what kind of value can you bring if someone wants to reach out, inside the group? Like, what's something that you can help them with?
We help companies scale, right? From a pure financial mathematical standpoint. It's how much did you make? How much did it cost to make it? And we do the projections of it. So we do business valuations. We do anything in the world of finance, bookkeeping, tax compliance, all this historical stuff that you need. But we also do the world of finance in the future world. So, you have this idea, you want to take your company from 1 million to 3 million to 5 million to 20 million or whatever it is. Well, there's challenges that are going to occur. And what I say is the middle gets fat, right? You're going to overhire, right? You're not going to charge enough. And if the math doesn't line up, you're going to make a great top line number and have nothing left at the end of the day. And so I make sure they got something left for themselves and also protect them from taxes and asset protection stuff.
Amazing. So any members in the group or future members, reach out to Zach. Huge asset in the group, very, very knowledgeable. I feel like we just like barely scratched the surface. But anyone who spends any amount of time with you realizes like the depth and experience and knowledge that you have, which I'm so grateful for. Everyone in the group so grateful for. Have you part of the group, share. You've been really like a servant leader in the group, and I'm just super thankful for you to be part of it. So
thanks for creating it. It makes it fun.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. So where can people find you outside the group? Is there social media?
My website's easiest, learnandgrowrich.net. Schedule a call with my one of my team members. They'll point you in the right direction, whether you, because we're very sort of selective on who we work with, because if you don't make enough money, I'm worthless, right? The more money you make, the more valuable I am. So we just want to make sure you get pointed in the right direction, and we'll do that. Either we have, I give all my stuff away. We have a school community. We're getting ready to launch a YouTube channel to document everything. But if you want a phone call with me, go to my website.
Okay. Amazing. Well, Zach, it's been an honor.
Thanks, Thomas.
Thank you.